What's good, everyone? We got there eventually. Where are we?
There we
Yeah.
go.
All right. Well, what a well-oiled machine we are. And yeah, for everyone coming along, what's good, everyone? Matt here from UK Nets fans, and I'm joined as ever by Aidan and Cammy Anderson for our first ever live episode of BKT UK, the British Brooklyn Nets podcast. On this episode, we'll be recapping last week's games against the Heat, Pelicans, Raptors, and Celtics, discussing James Harden's injury, the addition of Mike James, and the teased return of Spencer Dinwiddie, as long as with much, much more besides. Make sure you're following us on Twitter and Instagram at UK Nets Fans, the pod itself on Twitter at BKTUK Pod, and check us out on YouTube where you can watch all of our episodes back. And seeing as this is live, make sure you comment along on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. Let us know what you think. Let us know how we're getting on. Obviously, this is the first episode, so do take it easy on us. But we'll feature all our favourites as the episode gets on. But with that out of the way, let's get into it. Lads, it's been another week of lots and lots of Nets news. We're going to get into that now. I guess there's no better place to start than with what was advertised to us as the NBA's most durable man. James Harden has missed a good chunk of time with an injury. What do we make of that?
Yeah, well, obviously it was meant to be a week where basically that injury report was meant to get so much better, and somehow it's managed to get a wee bit bleaker. I mean, the Nets announced that Harden suffered an on-court setback while he was rehabilitating his right hamstring, and they've now marked him out as indefinitely. So that's pretty brutal news for us. A bitter blow for the Nets as well, when we felt like we were days away from seeing scary hours back in the court. Nash said that Harden could potentially be back for the start of the playoffs, but he said he wasn't sure. So it's something that we need to keep an eye on. Obviously, kind of hamstring injuries. It's been a huge storyline for the Nets this year. Obviously, KD missing significant time out this season as well with a strain too. There was also some kind of interesting points that I saw raised from the Nets community on Twitter surrounding the performance team and if the blame falls with them at all. We obviously know that kind of hamstring injuries are difficult and unpredictable at times, but we all know that Sean Marks wouldn't be doing his job properly if he wasn't evaluating his staff on their performance. And I'm sure they'll definitely be looking at ways that they can improve in this in the future, because I think we can all agree it's been absolutely brutal this year for injuries and hamstrings in particular.
Yeah, it's been pretty rough. I think what people need to, I've caught myself doing it, being like, oh my God, the wheels are falling off, everything's going to pot. But as we record or as we're live, we're top of the East, and I think that kind of bears remembering. But yeah, it's been a pretty funny one. So with people out of the rotation and out of the roster, the reinforcements have been coming in the shape of Mr. Check's notes, Mike James. And I believe, Cammy, you've been doing a little bit of digging with Mike James.
Yeah, I have. Just to get the video started. Wasn't a player I'd say I was all that familiar with kind of up until a few days ago when the kind of links had started, but I think we've kind of seen him described as the Euro Kyrie by some. Obviously, just seeing some of the footage in the back, very, very athletic, has a lot of fancy layups in his bag, and obviously we got to see his debut against the Boston Celtics just last night. So obviously I'll speak a bit more about that later, but I think just on the last podcast we said, no, I don't think we really need another guard, or do we, don't we? And then out of nowhere this guy comes up, and just from a bit of digging, it seems like he's a bit of a baller. And I mean, yeah, it's a bit of a kind of strange way that we managed to bring him in, a 10-day, but there was a lot of kind of talk about it being a rental, and obviously it's not kind of something that's in kind of basketball. So yeah, it was a bit weird, but certainly the Daily Show an article which described him as the 9th best player outside the NBA, and that was kind of done by NBA scouts and NBA executives. And I think he was 19.3 points per game for CSK Moscow this season. So yeah, certainly a decent player, one who I think can make an impact, and it'll be interesting to see how he does in the remainder of his 10-day contract.
Yeah, it's a very, very interesting one. Paul Mack coming through on the comments on Twitch, calling him the real MJ, which I absolutely love. But yeah, he looks. I know, like it's one of them small. What did he get? Like 20 minutes or something against the Celtics? He didn't get a lot of time, but small sample size notwithstanding, he looks a decent player. It feels like the bubble nets from last year, where we just got battered by injuries and we're just kind of getting all these random reinforcements all cobbled together. But I think, that's going to prove to probably be doing MJ a little bit of disservice, really. So, a lot of good to come from him, I think. Glad we were able to get the deal done. It seems like there was not a shady bit of contract work going on between CSK and the NBA, but we shall see. Gladly, it's all worked through, and hopefully he can cause a bit of a stir on the court. But with Mike James coming in, he might not even be needed when it comes to playoff time, because we've got potentially one of our who we thought was not going to be joining us this season. He was granted a disabled player exception. That means, an independent group of NBA doctors have said that he probably won't come back. But, far from it being whoever is going to tell this man what to do, but Spencer Dinwiddie could well be back for the Brooklyn Nets when it comes to playoff time. And that's something I'm really looking forward to potentially. So we've all heard that he'll be returning for a long time. I think I want to know what people think in the comments just before I do sort of wax lyrical on this, because I want to know if you guys think he will be back in time for the playoffs or not. But on Tuesday, Spencer Dinwiddie, who's been out of pretty much the entire season with a partially torn ACL in his right knee, shared a clip of Floyd Mayweather's rant about "give me 6 weeks and he's ready to go." I'm sure you've all seen it. And basically Twitter did exactly what Spencer Dinwiddie thought it'd do. And speculation ramped up about him potentially returning in 6 weeks' time. 6 weeks from the date of that tweet puts us around the 1st of June, which I believe is the second round of the playoffs. This is obviously the latest in a long line of hints and statements from Dinwiddie himself about coming back. I remember when he initially went down, he kind of shared an image of him. I think it was at college or something when he fully tore his ACL in his left knee. But then he's come out as well saying that he's 10 weeks ahead of schedule. And he's all over Instagram, mainly shirtless, doing these kind of exercises and things like that. Looks great from what I can see, but then I'm an uneducated guy off Twitter, and so who knows. But then again, even if he did manage to come back, and I think the Nets are, as we've seen with KD and Harden and all the rest of our injuries, we are the absolute dons of playing it safe, not wanting to rush people back. But I just want to know, is it realistic that he'd even be allowed to come back straight off basically a season-long injury straight into playoff basketball? And I don't think he will. Dinwiddie's job on this Nets team is going to be a ball handler, a facilitator. And, if the big three are on the floor come the playoffs, health permitting, the ball will just not be out of Harden or Kyrie's hands, or even KD's hands. So I'd love to know what you guys think of that. But I think I just take what Spencer Dinwiddie says with a big old truck of salt. What do you guys think?
I think it's difficult to, as you say, he's always kind of someone who jokes around and you can't really tell. But I think, as Lewis says there, we've got his comment up on the screen. I hope he comes back soon too. I think if he comes back, I think if we weren't already the kind of massive favourites, it would almost certainly kind of solidify that. And I mean, to be able to call on someone like Dinwiddie, I think I'd either mentioned it in last week's podcast or the one before that, not many teams can bring a player like that just kind of out the woods, just kind of last minute. It's a huge boost for any team, not just ourselves. And I think that would certainly make the second unit that bit better. And I think if he comes back, he's going to want to win that ring. He's going to be really kind of up for it. Obviously, missed out on what was meant to be the kind of big grand seasons. So I think he hopefully does get back for the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I think Paul mentioned it there that he thought he was trying to engineer a trade. I mean, I think we all thought he was going to get traded at one point. That's what everyone was talking about. And there's obviously a reason why they didn't make a move. Potentially there wasn't a move there, or maybe they do think he can come back and play a job in the playoffs, or maybe he fancies coming back next year. Who knows? We see obviously Spencer with his tongue-in-cheek takes on Twitter constantly, and we always say take it with as much salt as possible, because he's usually just trying to wind people up, and that's it, exactly, Salt Bay. But yeah, I personally, I think there's a good chance now that he will come back for the playoffs, just with what's coming out. He's apparently been on the court already, kind of shooting some shots up. We've obviously seen it on Instagram. That's a good sign, and there's still a good few weeks to go. Who knows? If anyone's going to do it, Spence is going to do it. So yeah, I really hope he is back for the playoffs. And I'd say, yeah, there's quite a strong chance that he could play a part.
Yeah, I would love to, I think. And like you said, I think we said about it on like a previous pod where it was like in his career arc and this like crazy underdog story, it would just be such like a fitting end to be like, and even when all the stars aligned and, you know, he was finally playing with all these superstars, he went down, but he kind of came back and proved everyone wrong and came back. And, you know, I think it's just destined. If he does come back, he's going to have some huge clutch play just in the middle of a key game down the stretch somewhere. And maybe, you know, even win us a series, who knows? But yeah, well, first things first, he's got to get healthy and he's got to get sign off from the Nets staff, which I think is going to be no mean feat. But yeah, that's obviously we haven't not prepped for this. And this, I think, is something we're going to talk about as we prepare for the Suns game, which is in 45 minutes. But I just want to get your guys' thoughts and everyone watching along about KD being available for tonight's game. Obviously, we're going to get onto it, but just some initial thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely delighted. I mean, we knew he was going to come back at some point this week. I mean, there was a few people touting 3 or 4 weeks for a thigh contusion at one point when he first went down with that injury. So to have him back after just under a week is fantastic news for us. And yeah, I mean, I don't think you can underestimate the impact that Kevin Durant is going to have for this team, just purely because of what he can do on the court. He can put up a quiet 30 points, as I always like to mention. He can come in, make his shots, and it's easy for him at times. But yeah, I think something that's really worth noting is that many people are kind of nervous about the Nets, kind of potentially trying to get that first seed because Harden's obviously out. But you have to remember, these are two guys that Sean Marks thought could win the championship by themselves. The Harden trade was never a definite. It was never 100% going to happen. They could have quite happily went in expecting to compete this year with just Kevin Durant and Kyrie. So I'm excited to see an extended period of Kyrie and KD playing together. I'd rather Harden was obviously in there, but having Kevin Durant, especially for big games against tonight, for example, against the Suns, we've got a couple of games against the Bucks coming up. He is crucial to have in there because he's a difference maker. If an extra 30 points is what you're getting from him, then it's just going to make life so much easier. And I think having him back in there gives us such a stronger chance of finishing the 1 seed.
Paul has just expertly kind of encapsulated all my kind of thoughts. And yeah, as excited as I am, just given the way kind of injuries have went for Nets this season with multiple kind of recurrent injuries. Obviously, Harden with his hamstrings, KD's had multiple injuries and been in and out and in and out. And yeah, certainly worried. But yeah, what a difference this man will make. Hopefully, there's not going to be a minutes restriction. If so, hopefully it's not one that damages it too much. But I'd like to hope, given how he's returned after previous injuries, he'll come back firing as he always has done. And yeah, that's what we can really hope for. Then the sooner Harden's back as well, the better. And then we can really see the Scary Hours trio again for the first time in what would be months. So yeah, they're all back.
Yeah, I think this is we're too. I want to say we're almost too far into the season to be talking minutes restrictions, especially when it was like he's been so carefully brought back and so sort of wrapped up in cotton wool for what was essentially a dead leg. Like we've all had a dead leg. We all went to secondary school. We all got given a dead leg. But like, yeah, I just hope that. I hope he does, but I would not be surprised if he ends up playing 15 minutes. But we shall see, and we'll get to that when we get to it. But that's all the news that we thought we'd come up to next week. It's going to be a bit of a whistle stop this episode because we want to get on to talking about this Suns game that's going on tonight. But it is time to talk about the last week of games, and we started the week again, which seems like a long time ago, on Sunday night. With a close game but a loss to the Miami Heat. So we lost 109-107, and a game that was kind of back and forth, but ultimately came down to Bam Adebayo shooting a 13-footer over Jeff Green at the buzzer to win it, which was absolutely brutal. But I'm just going to pull up some bits here as we're talking. You can see that I'm absolutely meant at doing this already, but. So it's all about this man. If you're watching along with us, I've pulled up some Landry Shamet highlights. But he went off for a career high 30 points off the bench. He shot 10 of 5, including 7 of 12 from 3. I think it's great kind of with Landry being known as more of a perimeter shooter. It felt like he was driving a little more and getting to the rim a little more. Even did a little give and go with Nick Claxton at the top of the key to kind of curve around and split the defenders for a dunk towards the end of the first quarter. However, talking about his 3-point shooting, I've noticed he doesn't really need to be set to get his shot off. I don't know if you know what I mean, but like it's almost like he can be jumping, he can get the ball, still be running, but kind of jump up and twist and still get a shot off, which I noticed, which I think is a really unique skill to have. It was nice to see him expand his game a little and really push that playoff rotation, put his name down, I think, for those playoff minutes. So that was really good to see. Something that wasn't great to see was the Nets sort of fluffing it down the stretch. The Nets kind of struggled to close this game out, obviously, given that we lost it. But what's more surprising was with Kyrie kind of going cold. A rare night off from the more normally very, very efficient Kyrie Irving. There were some missed chances towards the end of the game. And, given that Shamet had the hot hand, reporters after the game asked Kyrie whether or not he should have passed it. And he said about Shamet, he played incredibly well. So definitely down the stretch, as I look back on it, I'm looking at it like, why did I not get something open for Landry? Guy's got 30 points. We should go with the hot hand, but you learn a lot after games. Hindsight is 2020. So yeah, nice to see a little bit of sort of humility by Kyrie there. It's easy for him to kind of, it's weird. It kind of goes back to him at the beginning of the season saying that he's never played with guys that can hit the last shot like he can. And maybe, whether or not he didn't trust him or whether or not he was just kind of zoned in. I'd like to think it's the latter. But as he said, hindsight is 2020, which, is great to look back. But the main talking point from this Heat game is obviously KD leaving after 3.5 minutes, which sucked. He kind of banged legs with Trevor Ariza on a drive, and he was kind of walking on it a bit funny. But after a few possessions, it was just like, look, timeout. Durant was subbed out. And after being evaluated in the locker room, he was ruled out with a left thigh contusion for the remainder of the game. Finished with 8 points, going 3 from 3 from field, 2 from 2 from deep in 4 minutes. And, I don't have to tell you what the per 36 minutes are on those 8 minutes, but he was obviously off to a historic start. But yeah, that was the Heat game. Annoyingly one to forget for us, but we quickly went onto the Pelicans game.
Yeah, so it was myself that stayed up like a few others in the Discord for a midweek back-to-back with the Pelicans and the Raptors, which was brutal on my sleep schedule and even more brutal for the Nets, who only had 9 players, so a very short-handed team. And yeah, so we started this one against the Pels in New Orleans. The Nets were excellent, really good. This wasn't an easy matchup against a young Pelicans team with two fantastic players in Ingram and Williamson. We managed to take the win 134-129. So yeah, a really high scoring affair. Just cut out here. Sorry. There we go. So yeah, let's start with Kyrie Irving. A superb performance, which certainly kind of shut up the Boo Boys after quite an underwhelming performance in Miami. Irving obviously hit some really difficult shots in this one. He hit some really important ones too, with two important buckets in the last 26 seconds for the Nets to take this one home. And he finished on a team high 32 points and 8 assists, which is what we needed him to do on a difficult night. But I could talk on about Kyrie, but it wasn't just him that got the job done for the Nets on this night. Everyone stepped up. And when the injury report looked like that, we really needed everyone to do a job. And there was 9 players available, as I said. They all played. Every single player that was available played. And 7 of them were in double figures, which is fantastic. It really shows how deep we actually are. Everyone deserves praise in this performance, but if I was to shout out one guy in particular who got the dirty work done, it was Bruce Brown in this one, who was once again incredible. 11 points, 11 rebounds, and 4 steals. Pure hustle from Bruce Brown. I was so impressed with him, and yeah, he's just one of those guys that just seems to get the job done for the Nets. And then yeah, obviously on the second half of the back-to-back, it was a bit of a different story. We went to Toronto, which is always a tough place to go for. Well, I say we went to Toronto, we actually went to Tampa Bay. And I liked seeing loads of Tampa Bay Raptors jerseys, which I didn't know was a thing. But that was really fun to see. I was worried about this one beforehand when we were doing the podcast. I said that I thought this was going to be the game that we were going to drop this week. And unfortunately, I was right. The story for this one, fatigue. The Nets were tired. We had 10 players in this one. We managed to get Reggie Perry back, who didn't play any minutes, but at least we had 10 players instead of 9. First of all, the Nets played excellent in the first quarter in this one. We actually took a 13-point lead going into the second. Some great performance defensively in the first. Unfortunately, it was pretty much downhill from there. The Nets had led kind of multiple times in this one, and they were still kind of even up 2 lead going into the second half. But it just seemed to feel inevitable that the Raptors would find their form at some point in the second half. And it wasn't pretty viewings for Nets fans, and we ended up dropping this one 114-103. So yeah, poor shooting nights, notably from Landry Shamet and Jeff Green. I think it's Paul who always mentions in the Discord, once they're shooting, the Nets have a really good chance of winning, and it's a great point. It's important that these guys do make their shots. Another one, Joe Harris, he hit 4 threes in the first, and then he only got 2 points in the rest of the game. So they look tired, the Nets, and unfortunately, they're not going to get 2 days off now until the playoffs come around. So it's not going to get any easier, and there's still some really tough games. But yeah, Cammy sent this one over to me before we were doing the stream, and I had to shout out Bruce Brown once again. And I'm not biased, but he did look like one of the only guys that was showing a lot of energy in this one. 21 points and 14 rebounds. Back-to-back double-doubles in a back-to-back for Bruce Brown, and he's only 6'4", even though Blake Griffin doesn't think so. So yeah, delighted for Bruce for another good performance, and yeah, he just seems to keep getting better and better.
Yeah, so moving on to the kind of Celtics game then, if we get the highlights up just this second. So, I mean, I think this game, Mike James made his debut in this one, and for someone who had literally only just met the team, I think Steve Nash had said before the game even started that he hadn't even met him. So to kind of come in, probably having not even trained, having no idea what was going on, and to come away with 8 points, 2 rebounds and 2 assists, I mean, you can't really complain with that for someone who, yeah, as I say, just really had no idea what was going on. I think there were some times where he was getting kind of shown around. It was maybe DJ or Jeff Green that he spoke with at one stage. Just, I don't know if it was, I don't know what do you. And when we did see some nice things, that kind of hook shot, I think this was really, really nice. But other than that, I think it was a team performance in this one. Nobody particularly shone. Kyrie only, was it 1 rebound off a triple-double? And I mean, I guess you could say, well, yeah, you'd think he'd shone, but a really poor shooting night from Kyrie, actually. 4 from 19. And And yeah, it was a kind of weird night. There was times where we were quite far ahead, and also near the end of the game, they kind of came back in, and it just seemed like, not again. We're gonna blow this. We can't possibly. And it just seemed to be all right. Obviously, Aidan, you've waxed lyrical about him. I'm gonna sing the praises of Bruce Brown again. Continued his good run of form with another 15 points, and yeah, I think as well. Back in first after this one, we went 0.5 games ahead after this one, and with the Sixers getting absolutely gubbed off the Bucks last night, we're now one full game ahead, and with ahead of us, I think this certainly can't be underestimated. It's only one game behind. It's something that can be quite quickly kind of overcome, as we've seen. But yeah, to get back into first, hopefully we can now make a difficult week kind of ahead for us.
Yeah, it's mad that like an iffy week, like a sort of disappointing week for us, still sees us going top of the East, it is such a weird place to be. I don't know how to feel as a Nets fan sometimes, but no, like your recap of the Boston game just reminded me, like Mike James has got this weird, like a mid-range floater hook shot thing in his arsenal. It's like the weirdest thing, but like, you know, they're all high percentage shots if they go in. It's so weird, right?
It does work.
But
awesome.
But yeah, it's, you know, as long as it's back, it's something that goes in, it's all good. But yeah, that's just something that that caught my eye from that. But yeah, thanks for everyone who is coming through. That's all the games from the last week that we're looking back on. Liam Horsley is excited that KD is back. Yes, he is, sir. We're going to get to that game in just a little bit. Yeah, big thanks to everyone coming through in the chat. Really, really appreciate it. But we're moving on to listener questions. We've only got the one from this week because we want to get through. But it's friend of the pod, Theo from Met the Criteria podcast. He just simply says, "How far did the Nets go without Harden?" And first off, I don't like your attitude, Theo, mate, because he's going to come back and everything's going to be absolutely fine. And it's going to be great. Obviously, we've spoke to this a little bit going in sort of previous episodes and things like that. So I want to see what you guys got first, what I've got coming through first before I give my little, what I think anyway.
I mean, I think, as you say, we kind of discussed. I mean, I think we'd kind of discussed, and I think we were all kind of in agreement that the main thing was all the players were healthy, and as Aidan said earlier on, the whole plan this season was Kyrie and KD, and we were going to go with that. The Harden trade obviously came up. We know Sean Marks is a guy who, if the right deal's there, he'll make it, and obviously Harden coming in is certainly kind of increased expectations, and I think having had him in the team more than we've kind of had Kyrie and KD at some points, and we've just kind of seen how he's taken over, I think it has maybe, and I can kind of understand where Theo's coming with the question, it kind of makes you think twice far do we? I'd like to think, given, as I said, the plan was Kyrie and KD, we'd go just as far with or without, but I think the expectation, as I say, is as far as, and so long as all three are there, I think it's got to be reaching the finals or bust, really.
I'm intrigued by this one. I'd love to see what people have to say in the comments as well. How far you think the Nets will do? How do you think we'll finish? Because I'm kind of in two minds with it. I mean, obviously we've got a very difficult schedule coming up. Yeah, as Cammy mentioned there, the beauty about this team compared to others is that we still have two top 10 players in the team when someone else is out injured. So, I mean, when healthy, obviously, I think we're going to be absolutely fine, and we can actually afford to have Harden out for the rest of the regular season as long as he's back for the playoffs. I think that's the crucial thing. He needs to be back for the start of the playoffs just so that we can get in a good rhythm going into them. I mean, it's easy to forget that obviously due to the craziness of this season that we were so confident at the start of the year. I know we had obviously Karis LeVert and Jarrett Allen, but we've added Blake Griffin, who I think is probably as valuable a piece as Karis or Jarrett would have been if they stayed in the team, just for what he does on the court. And yeah, I even think we've got enough to hold on to the 1 seed. And yeah, as I've mentioned so much, I really do hope that we do hold on to that. If we don't have him for the playoffs, which touch wood, I don't think it's going to happen. But I think the question does need to be discussed just in case he isn't there for the start of it. I even think without Harden for the whole thing, Eastern Conference Finals would still be our basement, which shows how confident I am about the team. And our ceiling obviously be still winning it all. But yeah, if he comes back to the playoffs, I think we'll be absolutely fine. And you never know. I think the time out that he's going to have, despite the fact he's going to be injured, could do him a lot of good because he has played so many minutes, as we've talked about constantly. I mean, he's nearly at 40 minutes a game at one point. And yeah, maybe he does need a bit of a rest, despite the fact that he'll be injured going into playoffs.
Yes, it's one of those. I think it will definitely do him the power of good. And I've just been trying to look what our record is without James Harden this season. And it's completely inconclusive because we're 13-13 without James Harden this season. So a little bit tricky. But yeah, obviously he does make us better. There's no doubt about that. But we've also not seen a great deal of KD and Kyrie together without Harden. So it's kind of hard to gauge it really. But yeah, I'd like to say Eastern Conference Finals and get into the finals. But it's one of them. It's just so hard to say because Harden has been such a big piece of our identity and a big piece of the way we play, and his sort of been able to facilitate and sort of set the tempo for everyone and be that leader. But what's great that I have seen is, I don't know if you guys caught it, but I think it was last night's game against the Celtics. He was almost playing head coach in that Goppin tie-dye outfit that he was wearing. He was up sort of almost giving the team talks, talking to the refs and all this kind of stuff. So although he's not on the floor, physically, he's still completely sort of amongst it, in the team, with the team, and talking about everything. So obviously I'd still reckon we'll do all right, even if he didn't. But thanks for making us think about all this negativity, Theo. But yeah, with that, it's just time to preview the coming games. So the Suns game starts in 25 minutes, or coverage starts in 25 minutes. So what we're going to do is we're going to save that, and we're going to look forward to Wednesday against the Raptors, Friday against the Pacers, and Saturday versus the Blazers. And just I'll get your guys' thoughts about how we'll go against those lot. What do you guys think?
I mean, I'll let you go again. Speaking of him.
Yeah, no, speaking of each other. No, yeah, I think so we're going for Raptors, Pacers and Blazers first of all, and then we'll come on to the Suns.
I reckon then we can go on the Suns.
Go for that. Sounds good. So yeah, obviously for those three, we've got the Raptors, Pacers, Blazers. Got a back-to-back in there again, which is a bit frustrating, but I'd say that the Raptors and Pacers games, we should definitely be winning those. We need to get revenge on the Raptors after the midweek performance this week, and it'd be nice to beat them. And then yeah, the Pacers, obviously they're very full of injuries. Obviously Miles Turner's out now, which does make things a lot easier for ourselves. He's always been a big man that does cause us a lot of issues. So be nice to see Karras again when he's playing kind of full strength. He's been playing absolutely fantastic. But yeah, I expect us to take both of those games, especially if we've got Kevin back in playing those. On the Friday against the Blazers, slightly dubious about that one, just because again it's a back-to-back. I think there's a good chance that they will end up resting a couple of guys, and it could be a game that we do drop. We'll soon see if they want the 1 seed as much as the Sixers, if they do decide to rest a lot of guys in that game, which could be quite interesting as well. But yeah, I think we could potentially drop that one. But I'm going to be confident and say that we're going to win all of them, because I think we need to start winning all of our games now. So yeah, let's go for a clean sweep of wins this week.
I mean, you're certainly a lot more confident than me. I think even including the Suns game, I still see us dropping. I think Suns, Raptors and Pacers, they should be the games we beat and kind of winning. But then, as you say, the back-to-backs are games we do typically struggle in. We also rest players, and it just, yeah, I think the Blazers, provided they don't kind of rest their main guys, they should probably have too much for us if we are resting our kind of main guys. Then the Bucks on Sunday, we know how good a regular season team the Bucks are. They've got Giannis, who, I mean, yeah, we struggle to describe James Harden, KD and Kyrie sometimes. Giannis is just as good, and I'll certainly be a player that, because I'll play it safe and say 3-2, and if it's any better than that, then yeah, happy days.
Yeah, I think I want to. My head wants to agree with Aidan. My heart wants to agree with Cammy. I think no, other way around. So I think I want us to sweep it, but I think that Blazers game on the second night of a back-to-back against the Pacers is looking pretty rough. But we can see what the Raptors can do. They're no slouches, but I think. I'm not sure if it was right, but I think the Raptors just got all their players back for that game. So maybe I think against us. So maybe there was an added piece of pep in their step for that game, maybe. But I want to see us beat the Blazers. I want to see us beat the Pacers as well. And yeah, Sunday and the Bucks. That's a different one, but I guess we'll see. I reckon. I think we'll drop one, but I'm not quite sure who that's going to be. But that's it. Let us know if you're watching along with this. Let us know about this little stretch, how you think we'll do. But now we're going to talk about this. We're coming into the pre-game section of our first ever live pod. My jitters have just sort of started to subside about doing this live pod first. I don't know about you two, but if you are watching along, thanks again for coming and joining us. But I want you to drop in the comments what you think the result of this Suns game is going to be. You look at the Phoenix Suns, and what are they, second in the West? So they've got. Let me double check. So they're second in the West, 42-17. 1.5 games back from the Jazz, who have been on an absolute fire. They did lose their last game, so that's something. And I reckon they're completely doable. We got a good win last night, so I think we're going to do it. Obviously, they've got people in, obviously Devin Booker who can score. They've got Chris Paul, who I don't think is given enough credit about the kind of stuff that he's done this season and taking a bottom-feeding Phoenix team and making them not only relevant, but, a sleeper for a deep playoff run, given his experience and things like that. So yeah, I'm confident, but I wouldn't be surprised if we weren't able to pull it off, if you know what I mean. But I'm still going Nets by somewhere between 1 and 10, I think. How about you guys?
Yeah, definitely interest in this one. I've just popped the starters up at the bottom of the screen there. No Kevin Durant in the starting lineup, which is an interesting one. He looks to be coming off the bench for the third time of his career, obviously all coming this year. They must have liked when he came off the bench the last time he was coming back from injury and how that worked out. Steve Nash has came out and said that he's going to be on a minutes restriction again tonight. So disappointing for us, as we'd love to see him play as much as possible, but they are just playing it safe. Yeah, in terms of tonight, I think the Nets will win. I think we'll win by about between 10 to 20 points. The Suns are a really good team, but we saw when we met them previously in the year that we could beat them, and that was with James Harden carrying the load himself. And I think that a team with Kyrie and KD playing a reasonable amount of minutes should handle the Suns. But it's not going to be easy. They are a good team. I was watching the Suns game against the 76ers the other night, and I really liked what DeAndre Ayton done against Joel Embiid. I think he's a really good player. And obviously Devin Booker and Chris Paul is one of the best backcourts in the league, should I say. But yeah, I fancy us to take this one tonight, despite the fact that our Sunday record is absolutely disgusting. I think someone said it's something like in the 8 games we've only won 2, which is pretty rotten. Obviously the Nets quite like a lie-in and a later start. But yeah, I fancy us for this one. I think we need to get the win, obviously, to go 1.5 games over the Sixers, and it's a really important one tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the main thing. Just continuing to try and extend that lead at the top of the standings. I'm going to say we'll win this as well. I think, as you have both correctly said, the Suns are certainly no bugs. We've seen that throughout the season. They've had some good games that I've kind of seen highlights of. There's some cracking players, and I'd like to think with KD coming off the bench, it will make things a little bit more interesting. It kind of does give us Kyrie will take care of things against the kind of main guys, and then it's KD, and I feel sorry for the Suns' second unit because they're going to need to deal with KD, who's going to be as hungry as ever, and he wants to kind of just restriction and kind of show Nash and the coaching staff that maybe he could stretch a few extra minutes here or there, or just kind of later on in the week. But I'm going to say we'll win 123 to 118, so a little bit closer than I think both of you have put it.
Nice. I'm just so we've got a lot of good. We got a lovely bit of sort of stuff going on in the comments. Liam Horsley saying Nets by 10. Love that. We got Paul Mack saying he thinks it's going to overtime. Get some free basketball value for money. So two very wildly different predictions there, but love that. I'm just having a look on what I live for. Being a man that works in social media is the run up on Twitter. I love that. So I'm just having a look at on the Suns Twitter. So they've just come up with their starting five. So obviously got Chris Paul starting alongside Devin Booker. Then you've got Michael Bridges coming in at the 3, Cam Johnson at the 4, and DeAndre Ayton at the 5. So again, yeah, not a bad team, but by any stretch, they've still got a couple of people out. Dario Saric is obviously out. Langston Galloway isn't playing. Jay Crowder and Abdul Nader are not playing either. But yeah, it's one of those. I think they've also said that after 11 years, the playoffs are back. I didn't know that it had been 11 years that the Suns had not made the playoffs, which is crazy. And I think just goes to say about what CP3 has done. But yeah, what from the build up have you guys seen that has tweaked your interest?
I've been having a look at the pre-match. Sorry, Cammy, on you go.
I can see with the screen ready to share. That's the highlight.
Let's go for it.
Get it on the screen.
Look at this relaxed fit from Bruce Brown there. I'm loving that. It's proper Sunday vibes.
That's pure Sunday vibes. Socks and slippers. That's
it
big.
Is. The socks and it's Crocs.
You're joking. That is pure Sunday vibes.
There you go, rocking the Crocs.
What
else we got? Let's see. Oh, we've got Jeff Green coming up here. There you go. Jeff. Wait, no, he's too fast. We'll go back to Jeff. Yeah, there you go, Jeff. Just with a proper relaxed look as well. Hoodie and jeans.
Air Max 1s, OG colourway. Very nice.
Very nice. DJ going for the Sunday lunch vibes with your nan, which I like.
Love that. There's no, when your hair is practically a hat, you can pull off all hats. And he's absolutely killing it, isn't he?
Very nice. I think that's that. Oh, we've got one more. There you go, Blake with a tweed.
I love that. Okay, sort of casual lumberjack vibes.
Mm-hmm.
He's just going. Nice. He's just going around the farmers market, just getting some bits in for a big Sunday lunch. I think that's the vibe I'm getting from there.
I'm gonna go winner Bruce Brown for the most outstanding outfit that he's rocking, a pair of Crocs.
I think so.
I think that's the best one to do.
Oh, yeah. It's easy to pull off a pair of Crocs, but fair play to Bruce Brown.
Has he got them on all-terrain mode? That's what I want to know. They've got a strap that you can flip over and you can get them around the back, and it's all-terrain mode, which I love.
I've never owned a pair of Crocs, so there we go.
Fair enough.
You've exposed yourself there, man.
I love that. I'm just trying to find the Phoenix ones because they've got some very, very questionable takes. From what those guys have got on, but while I'm pulling these up, if you do want your own Nets clobber, I can point you towards a very, very decent Brooklyn Nets fan page online store if you want to go. So funny that scene is Blake goes timber. Get it. Nice. He's like, if Blake Griffin dives after a loose ball, but no one's around to hear it, did it make a noise? So I've got the Suns ones up, and I want to know what you guys think about this. So he's got, not sure who these. Let's dig in to these because these are, I reckon they're not the best. Let's have a look. Should have got these up first. See, I'm not as professional as Aidan, and my Wi-Fi is obviously shocking because it's taking its sweet time.
Is that D-Book? No,
I don't know, but those jeans need to be put in the bin, don't they? It's not.
They've seen better days.
If it is D-Book, he was out earlier on. Just I'd seen him a photo at him him and Kendall Jenner were just kind of out chilling in New York. And I think the trousers he had on then were a bit better than these. I'm not sure quite what these are.
Decent, I love that. That's a nice little fit. Got the kicks matching the tee. That's all good. Although I can't wear an LA I don't know if you guys are the same. I can't wear like an LA hat with not an LA something else. I don't like it. If I don't rep the team, I can't wear their merch. I don't know if you guys are thinking.
Wouldn't wear LA altogether, man.
No, I mean Chris Paul looks like a tube of toothpaste. That's all mouthwash, everything. Although it's a bit New York Liberty vibes. I'm into that.
I think they just decide they come to New York and they think it's a very fashionable place. We can just wear absolutely anything.
Yeah, you can just go nuts. And whoever this guy is, he's wearing flares.
There we go. He was definitely a 2003 draft pick, wasn't he?
All right,
those flares.
Yeah, I think these are the last ones we got. So we got. I think he's tried too hard and it hasn't quite come off with that one. Myself, not a fan. And if I could just go back to him, when your pockets are so tight you can see your phone in your front pocket, pop it in your back pocket, mate. And you've got a bag on, so just whack it in there. Rookie error. And then so there's some pretty rascal trousers, but I'm into it. And that's it. And that's Fashion Watch as brought to you by BKT UK.
Love it.
On that topic, though, just to go back to the fantastic clothing from that UK Nets fans store, your favourite podcast. And so here's a few lovely designs for you to. Obviously, summer coming up, some lovely stuff there for you to enjoy. Scary Hours tea.
Decent. It's like QVC.
Nice. It is, here's what you can get.
Man, I love that. Well, I think we were shooting for an hour, but I don't know about you guys, but I'm itching to get comfy on that sofa, pop my snacks, crack open a beer, and then enjoy an 8:30 UK time tip, which they don't come around too often. So I think we're going to call it there, lads. Thanks very much for joining me. Thanks to everyone who came through. Obviously, this is our first one. I hope we're going to do more. Definitely going to do more of these. We're going to get a little bit more refined and a little bit slicker as we go on, I believe. But as you can see from the ticker in the bottom, make sure to follow us on socials. Twitter at UK Nets Fans, Instagram at UK Nets Fans. You can follow the pod itself on Twitter at BK2UK Pod. We're obviously now on Twitch, which is twitch.tv/UK Nets Fans. And you can find us on YouTube if you search UK Nets Fans. You'll find all the episodes of the pod that we've all done as a 3, ready to watch back if you so choose. Please subscribe, rate, review the pod if you can, if possible. And head to the merch store that you've just seen there. If you go to teespring.com/stores/UK Nets Fans, you can buy more merch. And we'll see you next time. And nice one. Thanks very much. We'll see you soon.